look at ink. Now, if you ever had a fountain pen as a child, you might have had a Parker that would look a little bit like this. And those pens would come with ink cartridges. So you get a little box of 6 ink cartridges, and they look like this. Little ink cartridge there. And now, not many of my pens have ink cartridges. Calico does, because it's little, and that's basically the only thing you can fit in one of these. So I'll show you. So you would unscrew the barrel to reveal your ink cartridge. So your ink cartridge would plug in there, then the ink goes through the feed and comes out the other end. So that's kind of how it's always been. If you don't know a lot about fountain pens, you might think that that's the only way to ink a fountain pen. It is not. There are various ways, and again, this is dependent upon the pen. So if you are thinking of buying a pen, you need to carefully look at how it needs to be inked as well. Okay, next up we have, let's go with the ink converter. Okay, so some pens will automatically come with what looks like, kind of this section looks like it's a cartridge, standard cartridge, but then it has this extra bit and a twisty bit on the end. And they do come out, and they pop in just like an ink cartridge, but to fill them you need a bottle of ink, or bottled ink. Okay, so I know that pen has got this J. Herbin olive. It's a lovely olive, and this is bottled ink. Okay, so you open the lid, it's full of ink, but how do you get the ink from the bottle into the pen? I will show you. Now I'm just gonna actually twist it out so I can show you. Okay, I'm just gonna, this is my little inky splodger. So they will come empty like this, and as you can see, if we twist this, you can see it goes up and down. It goes all the way up to the top and goes all the way down. So you need this to be all the way down. You put it in your pen, and then what you need to do is you need to dip kind of up to about here, really. You need to cover all of this before you get to the plain plastic barrel in ink, and then you're going to twist it so that it comes up. So I'm going to dip it in and just hold it there, and I'm going to twist it all the way to the top. You have to be careful because you might get some drips, so I'm just going to clean it. It's always worth cleaning it off as well, so it's nice and clean. And then voila, you have ink in your converter. I will see if I can do a little video at some point to show you from a different angle how to do that. So that is an ink converter. So this is the different angle to show you how to fill an ink converter. So it's empty at the minute, there's no ink in there. So I need to make sure that this has been wound all the way down, so it's like lefty-loosey all the way down to the bottom. Then I'm going to dip it in my ink and just twist it righty-tighty. And then voila, ink sorted. As far as I'm aware, they all come out, and if you wanted one pen, you could get a whole bunch of these. You can buy them as spares. You can get a whole bunch of them and fill them with different inks, I guess, if you want to change the inks in your pen. And then, but bear in mind, they are longer than, so a standard cartridge is about this. So if you're going to get a smaller pen, all of the Cowicos, I've got a few Cowicos, only take standard cartridges, or you can get a converter that's about that size that you squidge and it sucks the ink up, but I haven't yet got around to that. So yeah, so that is ink converters. And then usually it just, this is where it proves me wrong. Oh yeah, no, it just writes as normal. Okay, so that's ink converters. Next up we have, let's look at the piston inks. Okay, so make sure I've got this has a sepia ink in it, again, bottled ink. And you can actually see the ink in this one. Now this one has the same sort of function. It's a twist end that moves the piece of plastic in the middle up and down to suck the ink in and push it out. So this one doesn't come apart. As you can see, it doesn't come apart. The threads here are purely for putting the cap on. So the only bit that actually moves is this section at the end here. So I'm just gonna, again, empty it out so you can see. So again, it's a twist action, the same. So, right, so that is twisted all the way down as far as it will go. You can see you've got some kind of suction, like they fill up the whole barrel there, and that's what pushes and pulls the ink. And then if I twist this here again, so this is piston ink flowing. Oh, I knew I was going to get a little bit inky in this. And again, this is quite a bigger nib, so you have to consider the size of the bottle you've got. It's going to have to go in quite deep past the ink, so don't worry about that. So again, I'm going to chuck that in there, and I'm going to suck up my ink, collect the drips, and voila, we've got ink. And I quite like seeing the ink in the barrel and moving around, and depending on what ink colour you can use, it catches really nicely in the light. So that's piston ink. So that is a piston pen. I think what I'll do is I'll do a roundup of the pens at the end in case you see any there that you quite like, and then I'll put links in the description. You can go and have a look at them yourself. What else do we have? So we've done cartridges, we've done ink converters, we have done piston conversion, and now we are going to look at the eyedropper. So this is an acrylic pen, I think, acrylic plastic pen. And as you can see, it's really dark here, but that is because it's full of ink. It's really hard to show. So if I can try and show you moving it around a little bit, it's hard to tell. Anyway, so the lid comes off, and this one does come undone here. So we're just going to take that nib section. It's got a really good seal, these ones. So they have a seal here as well to stop the ink leaking. So far, touch wood, none of these pens have ever leaked for me. And let's see, and then it's just literally a hole full of ink. Now what you're going to need, and all the Moonman eyedropper pens do come with a little set, and you get an eyedropper squeegee. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out to show you what it looks like. So this is actually a very teeny tiny little sampler bottle that I keep so I can travel with a little bit of ink. So we're just going to suck it up, drop it in there, suck it up, drop it in there, suck it up, drop it in there, and I think I've got most of it, so I'm just gonna, okay, so you can still see there's a bit in there. Let me just go and wash that out. Bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, so I've washed it out. That is just a clear. It's clear. Once you've got the nib section in there, you can see the nib, and you just fill it full of ink. Now this will hold a lot of ink, which I like, is good, and also you can see it slopping around in there, and I really like it. So again, you get your new pen, it'll come with the nib in like that, and the same goes for the mini ones. They're exactly the same, but just half the size. So you would need to take your lid off and take your nib section, unscrew that, take it off. Now what's good about this one is it stands, so I can easily fill that. Now some of them, getting ink everywhere, these ones have a rounded edge, so that will not stand up, it will fall over. So you have to consider, you might have to hold it while you do some eyedropping. So all you're going to do is making a right mess. But bear in mind, this is sometimes messy, and I'm doing it from a very teeny tiny bottle. So all I'm doing is sucking up into the eyedropper, putting the eyedropper in and sucking it out. Okay? Sucking it in, pushing it out, sucking it in, pushing it out. Oh, fail. So what I'm going to do, before this all goes wrong, I'm going to put the nib back in. That's on nice. And then, if you can kind of see the ink sloshing about. I'm going to put my lid on, and that's all done and dusted. Now I've made a right mess, so I'm just going to have a quick clean up. Now most of the inks I have are water based, so they do clean up really nice and easy. But it's always worth having kitchen towels, paper towels to hand if you're going to be doing anything other than installing an ink cartridge. But as you can see, that just, you'd never know I'd made a mess. Okay, so that is, as far as I'm aware, the 4 ways of filling up the inks in your fountain pens. Hey guys, thanks for watching part 2, ink filling, and how there are more than 1, in fact 4 different ways, there may be more, of putting ink into your fountain pen. So we're also going to look at inks, actually just inks in general. We're going to look at materials and weights. We're going to look at hand size and how your physical hand size can affect whether a fountain pen is going to be right for you or not. We're also going to delve into the whole side of being left-handed, and then at the end I'm going to do a roundup of all the pens that I have and a bit of information about them. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. Thanks for coming by.